I'm a kid with grown-up money now.
It's a dangerous trait.
It is.
Bud, let's get this started.
Hey there, I'm Evan, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I want to start with a quick question for people who are watching. Are you a fan of storytelling? Do you like world building? Do you like, whether it's a game, a book, a movie, series, whatever, podcast? Do you like being immersed in those worlds? Do you like being able to feel that you are in some way taking part in it? And what if I also added that I kind of stumbled upon a activity that you can feel that same feeling with the homies, with friends, with a really, really neat community. So for the past 3 years, I've been attending this event called REV. It is a post-apocalyptic kind of role-play immersive event that they put on. It's in Chesapeake, Virginia, and it's ran by a group named Ballahack Airsoft. They've been doing this event for over a decade now. They do other events. They do kind of the post-apocalyptic thing twice a year, one in the summer, one in the December one that I go to. They do a Wild West one. They do all sorts of stuff. So this is not a review or a play-by-play of what I did there. This is more of me just wanting to talk about what is so cool about the event. I wanted to talk about why I think it's so special and why what they're doing is doing a lot of good for a lot of different communities, and why I think it probably could do good for you if you were so brave to give it a try. So this event, as I said, was a role-play, immersive, post-apocalyptic thing, also known as a LARP. Now, if you just heard me say the word LARP and immediately thought of
Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt!
don't worry, you're definitely not the only one. That's what I thought of it before I gave it a try. I thought that was the only option, but I'll tell you what, after going to this event, I'm down to throw a lightning bolt at somebody. Why not? Some people deserve a lightning bolt. To be honest, before I took part in REV, I would have never imagined that I would do something like this type of hobby. But now that I've dipped my toe in, I think it's the coolest shit. So I want to talk to y'all about it. And if that right away is too nerdy for you, don't worry, man. It's only getting worse from here. Before I get into what REV is, let's talk about what a LARP really is. Really, what LARP is it's I guess similar to any other role-playing game, whether you're doing, like I said, doing games, like, in this case, more Fallout, I guess, but there's, fantasy, I guess, historical, there's all sorts of, role-play heavy scenarios like that, but, D&D, any game that has a mechanic that you're in a certain world, you're following certain rules, and you're making a character in that world, right? So it's just that, except you're that character. You're that person who is, walking around in this world and doing little tasks, meeting people, hanging out. And these days with the amount of people who are spending hours making a Baldur's Gate character, I'm sorry, man, but I think you could get down with some of this. You're not behind a controller, you're not behind a keyboard, you're not behind a character sheet or whatever. It's you. If you want to do something, you got to go out and do it. If you want to start beef, you got to go start some beef. So let's talk about what REV actually is. It is this big open world, right? Loads of survivors. There's like 1,200 people there each day. It's a 2-day event. And there is traders, there's merchants, there are these quest givers, there are all these different characters you'll meet. You will find people who have these fun little storylines that, there's plenty of people who think they're the main character, but there's a lot of people who just enjoy being kind of part of a world. There's a group that run around with like trash cans on their back, and they are the wasteland waste retrieval people. It's like you're just being in this funny little world for a weekend, and everything that everyone brings really adds to it. It is an open world with loads of factions, loads of people with different goals. There's people who want to play more the raiders. There's more people who want to play the merchant style, or if you want to just be like a cool wasteland cowboy hero, man. Do it, man. Do it. If you want to be a cyborg like me, do it. Do it. You can basically do whatever. The main mechanic of it is with airsoft guns. That's how it. You're not swinging swords at people. Exactly. I'll get to that. It's through airsoft guns. Little plastic BBs and popping each other with that. And when I was first kind of reading about it, I was like, okay, how do you control this open world of 1,200 people with these things, making sure it's in a safe environment? They do a really good job. They make sure everyone has safety rated eye protection, of course. They make sure that your replica, your airsoft gun, is not firing so hard that it's actually going to hurt somebody. And if it is firing hard, there's like a whole thing about you can only fire from this distance, like a minimum range that you can hit someone with, so you're not just like blasting people. That was a breath of fresh air, because I definitely thought it was going to be a little bit more yeehaw than that, but it was good. And throughout the event, there are smaller events. There's a thing called the Blood Pit Arena, which is the one place that you can actually use these melee weapons in these like kind of gladiator fight things. The idea is that if they don't want the people just smacking each other out in the world, because if you're hitting people without like a ref or them kind of regulating it, you can hit someone with the eye protection, knock that thing off, and it could be a serious problem, because shootouts just kind of happen everywhere. So they want it contained, which is a smart idea. But there's fashion shows. I missed the fashion show this year. I was trying to serve my look, but I was busy. I was doing stuff. There's a radio station that even if you can't go to the event, there is a Wasteland channel that you can listen to when the event is going. I have this little radio here that you can have it playing and hear bounties. If you want to do your Mandalorian bounty fantasy, you can hear them say who has a bounty out, and all the old kind of Fallout music going and fun little interviews. It's really cool. The guy who runs the radio is a G, and there is a goal at the end of each event. If you want to go for it, you don't have to go for the main objective. There's plenty to do, but if you do win by getting to a bunker or surviving from these monsters they release, or radioactive gas, it's just like smoke grenades that billow up like green or whatever. There's every year it changes, and so each year there is an end goal, and you do get a cool prize. You get these little coins. I've won 2 years now, and it's kind of funny. You'd think a little, metal coin with some engravings on it wouldn't get you that jazz, but you get that thing, and you're like, yes, I win. I did it. That's just how I play, though. Do whatever you want. So I want to talk about how I found REV. It's a bit of a story, but I grew up in rural Texas, middle of nowhere. Didn't have much to do, but we did have property. And one day, one of the buddies that I grew up with was like, hey, check this thing out. And he showed an airsoft gun, and it kind of went from there. Whether it was hangouts or birthday parties or whatever, of just get all the homies together, all these, sweaty middle schoolers or whatever in the Texas heat, not drinking water, drinking Mountain Dew and just being dehydrated in the heat, running around and shooting each other with these things. It was great. It was the coolest. It was just the most fun thing to do with your buddies. It was great. It was awesome. And then you get older. I moved away. I didn't have the rural spot anymore, but it was a great time when I could enjoy it. after moving and growing up, getting jobs and stuff, you get really busy really quick. I think everyone feels that it's hard to give yourself time for hobbies and give yourself space to be creative in a way that isn't instantly making you money. We all know that stress. When I did start getting a little bit more, secure with being an adult, I had time to start thinking about what do I really enjoy doing. What were the things that I enjoyed whenever I was younger? First off, I was definitely a movie kid. I loved fiction stuff, whether it was Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, whatever. I mean, if me and my homies could run around the hills and pretend that we were fighting orcs or shooting stormtroopers or whatever, I was down with it. And this Airsoft thing that I just kind of lost track of for like 10 years. And I was just kind of thinking, like, whether I was going online, looking at different stuff and different hobbies of how people do it, and I found that people were still doing the Airsoft thing. And I tried it a couple times, go out in the woods and shoot each other, but it's not the same. You're not with all your homies. At least I didn't know anybody, and I didn't really care about the military tactic thing. I know there's some events that I also do more of the heavy military role play thing. Maybe I'll try that one day. At this point, though, I'm not all that interested in that. But then I heard about this REV thing. I had the money and time, so I thought, why not? I enjoy this. I enjoy fictional worlds, and I thought the Airsoft thing was pretty fun when I was a kid. Give it a try. And oh boy, 3 years later, here we are. So now you know what REV basically is. I probably didn't do an amazing job describing it, but that's okay. You should just go to figure it out. I want to talk about the things that I think is a little bit missed when people talk about REV. Really good things, actually. Things that I think should be talked about more, and the good it does for you. I want to talk about barrier of entry. We all know how certain hobbies and niche communities can be. It can feel a little gatekeepy, whether it's on purpose or not. Whether it is a financial issue where you can't afford to have this certain look or have this certain gear. REV doesn't do that. And that clicked for me immediately, me being someone who was just trying this thing out. I didn't have amazing gear. I had a leather jacket and a dream, I didn't want to invest too much before I really liked it. Costumes can be expensive. Whatever it is, whether it's a custom or you actually making it yourself, it's expensive and time consuming. And something that's nice about this kind of post-apocalyptic thing is it's pretty easy to fit in, go to Goodwill, go to a thrift store, get the dirtiest shirt that you can find and your most gnarly work jeans, some hiking boots, buddy, you're looking the part. You don't have to invest in anything too crazy, and I really liked that. I think that does a lot of good for people who are dipping their toe in. And when it comes to the role play stuff, when you're actually interacting with people in this world, you can lean into it as hard or as soft as you want. You'll talk to somebody and they will be fully in character. I mean, doing the most. They'll be telling the backstory or their reasons for being there and all that stuff. You'll talk to another guy and he's like, telling you about his car or something. It's very chill. And it works seamlessly. It's comfortable. And just as far as gear goes, if you look up an Airsoft website, if you wanted to get something, you'll notice it's not terribly cheap, but you really don't need to get the hardest, most intense, high quality thing ever, really. I brought a friend this year. After these 3 years, I felt comfortable showing someone, and he didn't fire once, and he won. The Airsoft is not the main point. It's just not. It is a mechanic that makes the game flow a little bit, I suppose. But you can talk your way out of plenty of things if you're really fast, or you know how to hide good, or you can, charisma your way around. Do it. Really do it. It's really not it's not a must-have. It really isn't. but it does make it easier to start beef with people or end beef. The guns are for beef. They're only for beef.
I'd like to go on record as being opposed to the use of violence for purposes of conflict resolution. However,
the second thing I want to talk about is that REV does a really, really good job of melding two distinct communities together in a way that is great for both of them, I feel. You have one side that is, and it's not that they pick sides here, I'm just kind of making an observation of me being there, but there's the people who are airsofters. I mean, they have the gear, they know all the tech, they're great people to know if you need stuff fixed. They know it. They've probably been to every weekend is filled with this thing, which is killer, man. Do it. Like a hobby's a hobby. And then on the other side, you have more LARP people. Maybe people like myself who don't do the airsoft thing other than this event or events similar to it. There's the post-apocalyptic, especially airsoft events is kind of booming. You'll probably find one in your area if you look hard enough. And it's neat seeing these two communities meld with each other. I've made plenty of friends over there. Like I said, that the community over there is really strong, and you'll see who is more on one side or the other. The LARPer heavy people a lot of the time have the cooler looks. Sorry.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong?
But the more airsoft heavy people, I feel they have the nice gear. They know how to work it, and it's neat because you're seeing these groups kind of come together in this really neat way of bringing everyone's creativity and imagination together. It's super sweet. I really like seeing it. It's just such a good time. And the third thing I want to talk about is just kind of the community as a whole. It is amazing how you won't see toxic nonsense, really. When I was looking to get back into the airsoft scene, looking at YouTube and stuff, if you type in airsoft, every video is, cheater gets hit by a car or whatever. People being all rough to each other. It's not that way, man. Everyone's just having a great time. There's a distinct emphasis on kindness to each other, and understanding that, hey, in the role play world, listen to each other. If you can tell someone's needing a minute or needing a break, they really try to hammer that in. Before each day of every event, the owner actually kind of briefs everyone. It's a big old crowd, and talks about that. Talks about how important this event is to a lot of people, and why we're all here really for a good time and to share each other's company. Something he says every year, which I really agree with, is if you are expecting to have a good time at this event, if you're going into it thinking, I might get shot a lot, I might not win, I might not do yada yada, but I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to hang out with my homies, I'm going to dress in this crazy gear and, pretend I'm from Mad Max or whatever. You're going to have a great time. But if you are going into it thinking, oh man, like, this guy shot me yesterday and now I'm all upset and all these, I'm not going to win, and you're going to have a rough time. It's really what you get what you put into it. And I think a lot of people put in a lot of great stuff. You just see so many amazing, memorable characters that some of them started as players and now are actual like field ran NPCs. It's a neat community that just knocks it out of the park. They just kill it. It's awesome. And man, I'm telling you, you will make friends at this event. Day one, I was just out in the parking lot and ran into some guys who were just, hey, heard y'all were doing this kind of thing. Do y'all need any help? Yeah, get in here. Cool. We every year we still meet up. Whether it's out of game where you are in the parking lot, like I said, and you just get along with them in person. But there's also like, you're just gonna meet people in game who you're vibing with, and they're like, hey, we gotta go give that guy what for or whatever. You make these connections with these people, and whether it's the Discord or the Facebook page, people are always sharing pictures, and there's always, hey, I remember you, hey, you did this. And even if things got kind of hot that day, if there was a big firefight, it's happened to me where you walk out in the parking lot at the end of the day and it's like, man, that was sweet. Like, even if we were beefing with each other, it's just like, oh, that was a cool thing that happened out there, man. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about, I guess, is a little bit deeper, is just a place holding space for creativity and imagination. So, me and my partner, one of our things we like to do is go to Ren fairs together.
Says the Renaissance men are coming in town really soon.
Okay.
Like ASAP.
I just don't know what that means.
You know, go out in the hot sun and watch people joust and drink some mead and eat a turkey leg and have a great time. And I enjoyed the creativity of that too. You know, you're making a look, you're looking the part. Everyone's doing this thing, and something I noticed every year was I would see people who would be showing up, which without costume on stuff, which is fine. Like, not everyone wants to spend the money on a thing that they do once, maybe every year. But there was this look that I'd see with people, like, you know, it'd be a dude standing there with like a cargo shorts, a Cowboys jersey, and like no gear on at all, but he, you know, maybe he splurged and got himself a sword or something, and he'd be sitting there with his sword, and there's this look that he gets, and I'd see it every year, of like this, like, oh, I get it, this like just I don't know, maybe it's something about dudes just wanting to have a sword. I know it's pretty cool just having a sword. I have a sword somewhere over there. But the more I thought about it, the more I observed it, it just made me think, like, man, I think suspending disbelief a little bit and enjoying just kind of being in this weird little world for a second, I think it does a lot of good for people. I think a lot of people have that part in themselves, and if you can find a way to bring that up in people in a healthy and fun way, it only does good. Go buy a sword. Go hold a sword. And man, that's kind of a hard feeling to find. If you're playing games or watching movies and stuff, it can sometimes feel like, man, I'm just looking at a screen here. But when you're holding the thing, when you're standing there in this little world that is being made by people, something clicks, man. I really do believe that. REV does a great job with that. A lot of the time it's great people watching. You know, you're in this little world and everyone's showing off their kits. If you're going to this event and you're worried that you're going to not look the part enough, or you're nervous about overdoing it, you're not going to. Everyone is just so stoked to be there with each other and have some healthy escapism, I guess. So, when I was planning this video, I wasn't really sure of how I wanted to do it. I was thinking maybe I could do the GoPro thing and walk around in the event and, show some gameplay, that kind of thing, or just do what I'm doing now, where I'm sitting here, just some dude talking into a camera. But I feel like it would miss the most important and valuable parts of REV, and it is the people. The people you meet at this thing will, it'll change your world. And I didn't want to talk over those people. I'm not the most important person at that event, and collectively, everyone makes REV. It's the people that make it. It's not the people that put it on. It is the people that run the world. It's the people that choose to be there. So I wanted to hear from them, because clearly I have a lot to say, and I wanted to see if I was alone in thinking this way. And spoiler alert, I'm not the only one who's thinking this way. So,
why do you come to REV? Like, what's the appeal? Why do you think people come here?
Well, I got an Airsoft a few years ago,
yeah,
and I've done MilSim, I've done CQB stuff,
yeah,
and that's all fun. But the LARP aspect of this particular event is what really appeals to me.
Yeah,
I love coming here dressing up like an idiot.
Oh yeah.
And run around the woods, acting like someone from another world.
Like a superhero.
Like a superhero.
Like a superhero.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah,
Well,
and like Chris Swamp Sniper says, we got to hang on to the things from our childhood. We got to act like a kid now and again.
It's important.
It keeps us happy, keps us going. You know?
I don't see too many frowns out here. Everyone.
No, everybody's having a great time.
Well, awesome.
Bunch of nerds with guns in their hands.
What could go wrong? Well, I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks a lot.
it. Thank you. Why do you think people do this? Why do you think people travel all over and dress up crazy and run around in this field and these woods in this little town for a weekend?
Because we all need a little change up from life, a little chaos, a little goofy silly, if one would.
Gotta have a little goofy silly.
Gotta have a little goofy silly. And I feel like this is one way of getting some goofy silly. You get out a lot of physical energy, but at the same time, you are... Imagine it. You're, as the swamp says, you are being a kid again.
You are being a kid. Yeah, you add a little creativity to your world, something to work on.
See, I'm a kid with grown-up money now.
It's a dangerous trait.
It is.
How long have you been doing REV?
14 years.
14 years. And
I've been here since Rev 1.
And you're one of the role players.
Yes.
You're one of the runners here.
Yes.
What do you do as a role player?
I am the man in the purple coat, and largely I run the Blood Pit Arena.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that since Rev 4.
Good Lord. Find each other with swords.
Yes.
The best. The best.
The age is getting to me, though.
Well, are you having fun this year?
Oh.
Are you still having a good time?
Absolutely, yes. It's always a delight to come out and watch people struggle.
Excellent. In just a couple words, why do you think people do this? Why do you think people enjoy coming to do this weird thing we all kind of love?
You just said it. It's a weird thing. They get to come out and just do something that's way out of their normal scope of go to work, deal with customers, or, just their regular work life. And it's just a big break, and, it beats sitting around playing video games all weekend.
You can come out here and do the same thing with friends.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically kind of like, the bigger sci-fi and anime cons, but, you get to shoot at each other.
If you don't like somebody, just slap them.
Yeah.
The adventure. It's something new. It's something outside of just the non-stop firefights. You get to interact with the people where nobody's your friend.
Yeah.
Hell, if we were on the field, I could just...
Exactly. It is. It's a healthy escapism because it's like either I'm doing that or I'm spending all day in video games for a whole month, which is not good because I got to be a productive adult.
It's healthier than video games because you're walking and you're out and running.
Like video games can be healthy and shit, but like moderation and shit.
Yeah, and there's community out here.
Yeah. And I have actual friends out here that I can like hug. Yeah. Hugs are nice.
Why do you come to REV? What's
escapism. I can just forget about everything. I can leave all the stresses at home.
Yeah.
I can just be myself or not be myself, optionally.
Yeah.
Just have a good time with friends, like meet some amazing people out here. Met that guy over there, that guy over there. There's a great community here. It's just escapism. You don't have to especially when you're role playing, you're forgetting about everything else. You're in the moment. It's carefree.
Why do you do this? Why do you think all these people dress like this?
Basically, you get to unleash your inner weirdo, your suppressed state. And
Absolutely.
Just unleash that, like Swamp Sniper says, that childhood wonder.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think everyone we talk to, it sounds really like it's a healthy outlet for creativity and a little bit of healthy escapism and just making friends. It's a good place.
It's a great guy. It's a great place to make friends too. I've met like 5 new friends this year.
Yeah.
And everyone just like random costumes, like this guy with the unicorn right here.
Yeah. Oh man, snap it.
To more like aggressive looking role players like me.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a unicorn, but still cool.
Yeah, still
cool. Awesome. Thank you for answering a couple questions.
No problem.
Have fun today.
You too.
Awesome. So, I don't really know how to end this video. I'm not used to doing the YouTube thing yet. But I appreciate it if y'all watched to this point. I think events like this are really neat, and I only wish them more success. I think this hobby that I've stumbled into can do a lot of good for people. And if you're the kind of person that sees this and that's ridiculous, I could never dress up and pretend to be in another world for a weekend, that's cool, man. Like no harshity there. You go do you. But if any of this sounds even remotely up your alley, if you have a dirty shirt in your closet and you saw Mad Max one time, I don't know, man. Might be fun. Maybe you should give it a try. I don't know. Just try it out. Anyway. Go dress up like a dork with your friends.